Welcome back, everybody. I'm Justin here with Chevy Know-How. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone out there, and thank you to all of you who have served, current active military and reserves. I appreciate your service, and from Universal Chevrolet and I, thank you to all. So, for that being said, I know what you're wondering, Justin, why do you have a Ford behind you? This is a Chevrolet channel, and that's because today we're going to be talking about how dealerships get their trade-in values for your vehicle. So stay tuned, we're going to dive right into it. We'll make this quick, easy in 5 minutes, and how we come up with your value for your car. Stay tuned. All right, let's jump right into it. The first step in the appraisal process for us is to ensure that we have the accurate information, such as your VIN, your make, your model, and your miles. So we're gonna go straight up to your car. Typically, we're gonna have apps on our phone that we can scan your VIN, and it's gonna populate the fields for us, such as your make and your model. And then we're gonna also look at things like your Carfax and make sure that's populating as well, so we can see the history of your vehicle, the duration of your ownership, and any kind of service records to go along with that. So that's kind of the most boring part of the appraisal that you probably already knew about. But the second part is for us to actually to look over the car and drive it. So if you always wonder, what are we looking at when we walk around? We're looking at the tires, the windshield, the condition of the paint, chips, scratches, all that stuff that you can really see with your own eyes. And then when we're driving the vehicles, we're feeling for things such as your rotors, your brakes, any shutters, engine knocking noises, accelerating problems, any kind of underlying stuff like that that you might not have noticed yourself because you're so used to your vehicle. We also check things such as the AC working, the radio, the blown speakers. We kind of check for everything when we're driving them to kind of get a feel for your condition of your vehicle already. And then we kind of just make notes in our appraisal sheets. So when we get to the time where we get to the computer and actually sit down and look at values, then we already kind of have a feel for the condition of your vehicle, if we're going to need to spend money for tires, and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you always wondered what we're looking at when we're walking around your vehicle or we're driving it, that is really what we're doing. We're just trying to find any issues that we may have to deal with down the road, or any kind of areas that we're going to have to put money into to get it ready for the lot to sell. So that is the first step in the appraisal process. Now we're going to look at how we actually give you a value. The last process for getting the value of your car during the appraisal process is for us to sit down and just study your vehicle. What we're looking for when we're studying the vehicles, we're comparing a bunch of different sources on our programs that we use, seeing kind of what the values are on those sources. So for example, we use like MMR, Black Book, KBB. So if MMR is 30, KBB is 33, and Black Book's 25. Of course, that makes things a little more difficult for us because we're kind of having to take in consideration averages for those cars. So we can't just look at one source because a lot of other sources are out there for us to use that are very accurate to tell us what your car is actually going for in the market today. We also have tools on there that will show us what the cars are actually selling for at other dealerships. So if you had a 2020 Chevrolet Malibu, and we click on the little tab, it'll pull up 30 or 40 or however many Malibus there are out there that are 2020s and have the similar miles and similar history to your vehicle, and actually show us what they're selling for right now. So of course we have to take into consideration what we can sell it for, and then we have to come over and take into consideration what the reconditioning cost or the cost that we have to spend on your vehicle is going to actually cost for us to put it on the lot. I like to kind of compare that to home buying. Before you make an offer for a house, you get an inspector to come in and look for any underlying issues, any kind of areas they might find. They're going to tell you, and then you make your offer based on how much money you're going to have to put into fixing those issues. It's the same thing for car buying. We just take into consideration any underlying issues, any cost involved with buying your vehicle to make sure it's ready to put on the lot. We kind of take the two, put them together, and really sit down and look at the value from there. Right now, of course, as many of you know, used car values are extremely high. This is one of the hardest markets to really take into consideration the value of your car. biggest reason behind that is because in a lot of cases, car values right now are really, as much as if they're fairly new and have a good amount of miles, they're really kind of what you paid for them, which is really unheard of in the car buying world, but it's the value. So it kind of makes things a little more difficult for us to say, hey, that new one you can get for just as much as a used one in some situations. But of course, that's just the world we're living in today. But I hope you found this helpful. I hope this kind of answered any questions you might have of what we're looking at when we're driving your car, or what we're looking at when we're looking at the computer for 10 minutes. That's really what we're looking for. We're just simply driving your vehicle, looking for any underlying factors that we're going to run into when we send it over to service and put it on the lot to sell. And then just also looking at the book values online and seeing what they're going for. So I hope you found this helpful, and of course, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and then check out my latest new video where I break down the 3 misconceptions that car buyers have when it actually doesn't save them any money. So again, I'm Justin with Chevy Know How, and I'll see you in the next one.